Good evening, friends. My name is Brahmacharya Aditya, and with me is Dr. Amar. We are both speaking from Pune, and it is our great joy to be doing these weekly updates on COVID 19. And also, as is the theme for these classes, how to manage, you might say, prevent, first of all, COVID 19. What are our best, you might say, practices over there? And secondly, if we do get COVID, how can we manage it at home? When is the right time to go to the hospital? And if we have had COVID, then how do we best come out of it? And from what is known as the post COVID syndrome, which has many physical, mental, emotional, you might say sometimes lingering effects to it. So, anyway, today evening we will be sharing about how to strengthen our immune system, a very, very important topic. And Dr. Amar will be showing us some slides on that and sharing some practices, especially pertaining to lifestyle. We wanted to cover that topic last week, but then there were so many questions that had come that Dr. Amar took that time to address those questions. Now that many of them have been answered, we will go into this very important subject of how to work with our lifestyle and strengthen our immune system. And then we will cover an experiential session for about 30 minutes of how to manage the post COVID syndrome of fatigue and shortness of breath. So I hope you can stay with us throughout this hour. And but let's begin just with a brief moment of 1 minute of meditation, prayer, and a chant. Please join me in this singing. We did this chant last time too. What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? What is this energy flowing through my form? Can it be other than divine? What is this consciousness flowing through my brain? Can it be other than divine? And what is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one. I am one with the infinite Om. That all these qualities to each of us, they come from God. We have to apply our will to bring them to a high level of, you might say, awareness, control. And this chant is dedicated, you might say, to those qualities, and to it can help us a lot in this healing process. We have to do always, Yogananda ji said, half of the work at least in the healing process. So please join me in singing this chant. What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this energy flowing through my form? Can it be other than divine? What is this energy flowing through my form? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this consciousness flowing through my brain? Can it be other than divine? What is this consciousness flowing through my brain? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? What is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one. I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one. I am one with the infinite Om. What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? What is this energy flowing through my form? Can it be other than divine? What is this consciousness flowing through my brain? Can it be other than divine? What is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one. I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one. I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one. I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one. I am one with the infinite Om. 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 Amen. 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 Let us offer a short prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, beloved Guru Paramhansa Yogananda ji, saints and sages of all religions, we humbly bow before you all. Great masters, help us understand the teachings of health and healing, of yoga and meditation, that we may apply them in our daily lives, down into the details. May we and our friends and family members derive those benefits. May we share this wisdom with all. We invite your presence and grace to guide our health in these challenging times. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And just for a few moments, let us feel that all of us are sitting together meditating about half a minute, bringing our intention, our energy, our presence, our magnetism together to strengthen it. Let us rub our hands together, infusing our bodies and the spaces where we might be sitting, places of healing, visualizing people, the whole world, and sending 3 rounds of Om chanting to the world. Om. 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 Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. If you have any questions, friends, you can write them down in the chat section. And I would like to now invite Dr. Amar to come and share with us about the immune system and strengthening and working on our lifestyle as a preventive tool for COVID management.
Thank you, Dr. Aditya. I welcome you, friends, once again. Last time we were talking more about the specific question of how to deal with COVID and especially the management of COVID in a home setting. But today I'm going to talk more about the preventive aspects and what the studies are showing. In fact, because now COVID is already more than 1 year old, and it reminds me of one of the talk that I was watching in from on YouTube. And this guy is also a medical doctor. He said, we have been stressing about so many facts of COVID management, but we have not stressed enough about the preventive aspects in the last 1 year because many studies are not showing that the lifestyle is the key and how a healthy lifestyle can help us prevent not only infection but also the severe type of COVID infection. So let us go through these slides which will help us to understand this concept better. So when we talk of the strategies for prevention, let me just give you a brief overview of the immune system, that how does it work? Because with that background, we will be able to better appreciate that how we can strengthen our immune system. So I'm just waiting for the slide to be there. Slide it is taking a little longer. Are audible?
Maybe Dr. Amar,
Okay.
try
Now,
turning off your video.
okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So the brief, overview regarding the immune system would be if you see in this picture, if you see the from the nasal passage to the lungs, there are many lines of defenses which nature has provided us. Right from in the nasal passages, we have these small hair-like structures, what we call cilia, and they protect us from the dust particles or from some of these germs which are entering inside the passage. They just get trapped in the mucus lining of the airway. Now these mucus and cilia, they together make the first line of defense against the infection. And many times, if this mucus is very much, it is produced in the right amount, it is of the right consistency, then most of the infecting particles, they can get trapped right here itself. And one of the best ways to keep this mucociliary clearance, as we call it in the medical science, effective is to remain in a humidified environment. Sometimes what is happening in today's time is that we are using a lot of air conditioning, which dries up our secretions. As a result, this mucociliary clearance of the lungs gets very much affected, especially if we are living in a closed area and it is a very dry environment. Then that makes this first line of defense weaker. The second aspect, if you see here, is the stomach, where we have naturally the stomach is producing acid. And there are many studies which indicates that if this acid is there in the stomach, this gives us a lot of defense against the infection. Now many times people, because of the acidity issues, they are taking antacids and they are using, and sometimes they continue to take antacids for months and years together. Now this is a very important aspect, which the natural acidity, which is a barrier that kills many germs, and if this acidity is lost, then again our body is becoming more prone for infection. In fact, we use it in this principle quite a lot in intensive care, where the natural acidity we try to preserve. Similarly, we have a lot of bacteria, what we call healthy bacteria, which are present in our intestines, and we call it microbiome. And these are trillions of germs which are there, which have a symbiotic relationship in our gut. And all these things, all these bacteria together, they provide us the immunity, and they also strengthen the immune system, because 90% of the immune system, you can say, is getting regulated from our guts. And when the guts are healthy, and these germs, when they are in the right amount and in the right proportion, they make the gut healthier. As a result, this is how our immunity is going to be stronger. So let us come to, after this first line of defense, we come to some of the second line and third line of defenses which nature has given us. You can try to see it as circles, just like a VIP is protected, and there are many lines of, there are many barriers which the security has to arrange to protect the VIP. Similarly, the nature also has given us these lines of defenses. So in the first line of defense, I have talked about the barrier of mucous membrane, the secretions, the microbiome. And in the second line, if you see, there are the white blood cells. We call them phagocytes, which produce inflammation, which, if produced in the right amount, is actually protective. That is why you see when injury happens, there is immediately some swelling wherever the injury happens, and there are these blood cells, which are the white blood cells, which immediately reach there, and there are other cells which reduce the bleeding, which stops the bleeding, and then the healing starts. Fever is an important aspect of prevention and healing, and sometimes people, they just start chasing the fever. Now in viral infections, or sometimes we get high grade fevers, and it is now becoming one aspect of management also, although allopathy is lagging behind. But this principle is already was observed in other alternative systems, including homeopathy, where they never reduce the fever by artificial means. And it does make sense, because just fever is a response that body is generating against the infection, because it is creating an environment which is hostile to the intruder. So please do not chase the fever unless the fever is very high. If it is going beyond 102, even if it is slightly uncomfortable to you, let the fever be there for a while. It is not going to be there for too long. And then the fever, during the fever, one can take measures like hydrating himself, taking enough hydration, like having some coconut water or lemonade, which is all what is required. And you will see that the natural history of your illness will get shortened if you do not reduce your fever by artificial means. And similarly, we have these other chemicals which are released in the body. And then comes the third line of defense, which is regarding these B and T cells. Now they are the final line of defenses, that if the intruder has gained entry right into the blood where it has to be dealt with, then these B cells, they are producing the antibodies which neutralize the virus or the germ. And sometimes these T cells, we have these T cells which are helper cells, and the cytotoxic cells. So helper cells help the B cells to produce the antibodies, and then we have these other T cells which preserve the memory for that infection for long term. So I'll come to that later on, but now you can see that this is how these are your soldiers in the blood, in your body. You have these white blood cells of different colors, and we have then lymphocytes, macrophages, and so many cells which actually, you can say, are protecting us from daily bombardment which we are having. In fact, there was this Louis Pasteur, who is considered as the father of microbiology, and all his life he was working on the germ theory, and he was saying that germs are important, and if we can kill the germs, if we can bring up warfare against the germs, we'll be able to protect ourselves against the infection. But during, and he had his friend also, who was saying that, my dear friend, I think you are taking it from the other way around. He was saying that germs are important, but more important is the host. If you can strengthen the host, germs will not be able to do anything for you. But this guy was not listening to his friend. And during and after, just in his later part of his life, when he was on his deathbed, he said, I was wrong, and you were right, my friend, that host is important. If host is strong, then germs cannot harm you. And this is exactly what I think this paradigm shift has to happen in the whole principles, the way we are dealing with the infections. That if we can strengthen host, then we will be able to better deal with infection. Otherwise, when we treat them by drugs and antibiotics and so many things, there is intelligence in the germs too, and they become stronger and stronger and stronger, and ultimately we create super bugs, and they will come at and the time is not far away when scientists are also warning us that these super bugs will be so sturdy that no drug will be effective against them. So I think this, with this background, now, this is just a brief picture to show you that once the virus enters inside the system, then how these chemicals are released. And this is their antibody. It's like a Y-shaped structure, and this antibody blocks the intruder. And once it blocks it, it cannot either affect the normal cell. And then there are these NK cells, which we call them natural killer cells. These are the T cells which destroy the infected the infected cells in which the virus has entered. So this is how the whole system works. So with that background, now we come to some of the points which can help us to strengthen our immune system. Now in these points, you can see there are just 5 things which are very helpful, including having good amount of water, which is very important to keep the mucus lining well hydrated so that mucociliary clearance becomes effective. Not smoking, not taking alcohol, since these are kind of toxins which affect our immune system. Having good diet, balanced diet, which I will share with you in my some of my next slides. Having good refreshing sleep, which is again very important, and exercising regularly. So these are the 5 things, and we will talk about these things at some length here. But more important than these things, now there is another branch of science which we call the psychoneuro immunology, and in short it is PNI. Now, as the name suggests here, that our psyche has a greater impact on our immunity and through the nerves. So psyche is something which is happening in our mind, and through the nerve channels it affects our immunity. And how does it affect? Because when we are anxious, or when we are depressed, when we are not having enough sleep, scientists are finding that these people become prone for catching infections because their immunity goes down. They have more inflammation, sometimes they have allergies, sometimes they have chronic pain, and not only their immune system goes into disarray, but sometimes their endocrine system also, which is the hormonal balance, which gets affected. So sometimes scientists are using this terminology of PNEI, which is a psychoneuro endoimmunology, and endo is something for the hormones. Now this is a very important aspect of our human body, because the way we process thoughts and feelings in our mind has a lot to do with our hormonal balance and immunity. In the later part, my friend is going to share with you some of the tools that can help us to strengthen our to optimize this mental processing of the thoughts and feelings. So let us summarize some of the psychological factors which affect our immunity, which includes having a healthy stress response, bringing more resilience, having refreshing sleep, which is having at least 8 hours of sleep. And because now people are finding that those who work in night shifts, and that too continuously, their immune systems also get compromised. So if you are in a profession where you are working too much under night shifts, please think about it. Try to see how you can have at least good amount of rest in the night. Similarly, quality of relationships. Now this is a very important aspect, because feelings, unless they are very harmonious, unless we naturally have loving and compassionate feelings towards our people and friends and everybody, this immune system can otherwise also have, can have a greater impact on our immune system. So looking at from the lifestyle perspective, because if you see all these things, when we talk of diet and exercise and sleep, they constitute and they come under the broader umbrella of lifestyle, and we call it a healthy lifestyle. Once we have a balanced diet, we have an exercise, when we are managing our stress, because stress is something which is anyways going to be a part of our life. In fact, they say that if there is no stress, very soon we won't be able to live, because stress is an essential part of our life to strengthen us, but we need to build the resilience, and in order to build that we need to understand how to process it. So let me share with you now, coming to the COVID-19, that how these things are helping us in the COVID management. Now, if you see here in this paper, which came recently in November 2020, and this is a paper which was published in Germany, and they found that these high energy Western diets and obesity, they are a major risk factor for the more severe course of COVID-19. So now you can very well understand that, and we have seen it's a common observation that people, those who are obese, on those people, COVID-19 is much severer, and sometimes it is taking a greater toll on them. And similarly, they found that alcohol use and tobacco, they also have detrimental effects on the immune system. They did some population-wide studies, and furthermore, they found that restorative sleep is needed for adequate immune functioning, and appropriate lifestyle changes in regard to nutrition, sleep, exercise, smoking, and alcohol intake may help shift the population distribution of infection risk and aid in preventing the severe COVID-19 disease. So, if you see, the studies are already coming towards that, and when we see the long term data, we find that these are the people, those who are at higher risk of either catching the infection or getting a severer form of COVID. And if you see, mostly these people are either obese or diabetics or hypertensives. They have either heart diseases or chronic kidney diseases or high cholesterol, fatty liver, alcohol intake. And one thing, if you see among them, which is common, is that all of them are lifestyle related disorders. There are enough studies now. Some of these studies were done by Dr. Dean Ornish, who is a very pioneering doctor in US, and he found that by just changing your lifestyle without drugs, you can reverse these diseases. He wrote a wonderful book called Undo It, which I strongly recommend to you all if you want to go into the detail. And this is the book. This is the gentleman who did the studies, Undo It. And in fact, he, before that, his book, which was one of the largest New York Times bestsellers. This was, he wrote on the subject of reversing heart disease, and this was written almost 4 decades back. That by just changing our lifestyle, we can even reverse something like heart diseases, and the risk of heart attacks is reduced tremendously. So, with that background, now there are some other studies which I want to share with you. Again, a recent study which came last year, July 2020. And here they found that current research indicates that unhealthy lifestyle choices, including smoking and lack of exercise, along with emotional stressors like social isolation, interpersonal conflicts, they are important risk factors for developing upper respiratory infections. And it is possible that these same factors also increase the risk of contracting COVID 19. And there are some other studies. Now, this is a very large study that studied almost 4 lakh patients. If you see, 3,87,000 patients in United Kingdom, again on the subject of lifestyle risk factors. And what they found was that our findings suggest that unhealthy lifestyle, synonymous with elevated risk of non-communicable diseases, and all these are non-communicable, which we are talking of diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, is also a risk factor for COVID-19 hospital admission, which might be partly explained by low-grade inflammation. So when we talk of these diseases, there is always a common ingredient in them. We call it inflammation. And adopting simple lifestyle changes could lower the risk of severe infection. So if you see, more and more studies are now saying that, and this gentleman who was, I was talking about him in the beginning, that in the last 1 year, although COVID is more than 1 year old now, but from the medical community, we have not been able to stress this fact enough, that changing the lifestyle can protect you against this infection, and especially against the severe form of infection. So we must be spreading this awareness much wider, on a wider level. And how does the lifestyle affect us? If you see, when we are too sedentary, when we are under psychological distress, then this inflammation, then these all the chemical hormones which produce inflammation, they increase our susceptibility to infection, they depress our immune system, and that is how we get the COVID-19, which is of severer nature. Now let's talk about some solutions here, what we can do about it. let us begin first with the dietary changes, because in lifestyle, as we saw, there are 4 or 5 things: the diet, exercise, sleep. So when we say diet, now simple solutions, now just see if we can add lemon into our diet. Now this is something which we read in Yogananda's teachings also. He said if you take lemon the first thing in the morning, if your body accepts it in lukewarm water, this alone will be able to kill the undesirable germs from your gut. Now, it's a very simple thing. Maybe you can do 3 or 4 times in a week, if not daily, and just see and experiment with it. How do you feel when you do this? There are strong concentrated hydrogen ions, which are the main ingredient, which kill the germs, which are helpful. And a word about these multivitamins. Now many people ask me these questions: doctor, should I take supplements, should I take this supplement, this multivitamin? And this is a Canadian study which came in 2013. And just look at the title. They are saying enough is enough, stop wasting money on vitamin and mineral supplements, because they found that all these vitamins and mineral preparations are the chemicals, and these are all reductionist substances which often do not get well absorbed in the system. Yes, if somebody is much more deficient, then they may have their role, but as in general, people start popping these multivitamins, they have been seen that rather than helping, they actually are counterproductive, and sometimes they can do more harm. In fact, the best way, they say, to have all the vitamins is to have a rainbow diet. Now this picture is what I'm talking about. Now look at the colors. If you have all the colors in your diet, you can stay assured that you are getting all the vitamins and minerals which your body needs, because no color nature has produced without any reason. And for on in general, you can do this homework exercise, that which colors are missing in your diet, and just include all the colors in your diet, and you don't have to take any supplement. Another thing which is important is that please try to see that 50% of your diet should come from raw sources, which includes fruits and veggies. Try to reduce the cooked food, and Yogananda was stressing this fact often enough, that when we take the food which is coming directly from the nature, it is always having the life force in it, and when we process it or when we cook it, we are destroying that life force in greater degree. So cooked food is not providing us enough life force. Try to have more of fresh fruits and veggies, fresh juices, nuts, and whole plant food, whole grain food in your diet, and you will see that your immunity will be stronger. Now let me just share another research here. Now they found that plant-based diet, it has got health benefits not only for weight management, energy metabolism, but it also reduces the inflammation. And these beneficial effects could support a healthy immune system and lower a person's risk of the severe impact of COVID-19. Again, it's a very recent researches. And they also in fact found that yes, animal food could be harmful, and there is now data which is showing that animal food, if it is in the form of flesh, if it is taken, it can increase the risk of chances of having severe COVID, because they may have more inflammation in their bodies as compared to the vegetarian people. And how does it help? Because the most of the vegetarian diet as compared to the animal diet is alkaline, and our system works best in an alkaline medium. Whereas if it is acidic, because of either lack of fresh air, because of overwork, because of improper diet, then that reduces the immune system, and it reduces the strength of the immune system. As a result, we become prone for catching infections. So this is a mantra, I think, which we can follow, that alkaline system brings health and immunity. So these things, this kind of diet is always going to help us. But at the same time, the other thing which is important is regarding the number of meals that we should be taking. In fact, Yogananda said that eating 3 meals a day can be a dangerous habit. And yes, people, if those who are heavy manual laborers, farmers, they may need 3 meals, but most of us are moderate workers and we have sitting jobs, so we do not need more than 2 meals and in a day. And he also mentioned that we should not be eating at the sound of a dinner bell. Many times we just see that okay, time is there for lunch, so even if we are not feeling the hunger, we start eating, which he said is a very dangerous habit, and sooner or later it is going to affect our health. So please omit your meals when we are not feeling hungry, and giving periodic rest to the system, friends, is very, very important. And I think this is a subject which we discussed last time also, that how this gentleman who is a Japanese scientist, he got a Nobel Prize in year 2016 when he said that periodic fasting or intermittent fasting can be a very wonderful way of enhancing our health and longevity. In fact, they studied on rats. To one group of rats, they gave them all the food which they needed. To another group of rats, they just gave them half of their requirement of their food, and they found that the second group actually lived longer than those who were well fed. So this is a data which is coming. In fact, it is there in our Vedic literature also, that if we fast, and he said in fact that fasting can not only do a lot of recycling in our body, it can remove a lot of waste material from our body, but it can also help us to destroy the invading viruses and bacteria. So you can understand, and Yogananda was also stressing this fact enough. He said that in fact, if you have a flu and if you can just nip the problem in the bud, one of the best ways to do is just go on 2-day fruit fast. And he said you can either just have pears, or if pears are not available, then one can have apples, and then see that with just, and this I have all many times I have tried on myself also, that in common cold or in just sore throat, I go on a fast, and within just 1 or 2 days it just stops there itself. So I would like you to experiment with that. And coming on to the subject of exercise, sometimes I don't like to use the word exercise, because people don't like to when they have always reservations about that. So movement, and how the movement can help us, because there are n number of studies which are showing that we are not designed to sit for too long a period. In fact, they found that if men are sitting more than 6 hours in a day, their chances of early death increase by 20%. And in women, if they are sitting for more than 6 hours in a day, the early death increases by more than 40%. So if you see, it is affecting women much more than the men there, but we both have to be more. And how does it help? That how the benefits of physical activity, if you see, they are not only they are on the immune system, they help us to gain the muscle mass, they also help us to have greater oxygen concentrating capacities, greater delivery of oxygen to the tissues is there. So your heart is sturdier, your muscles are sturdier, you get greater stamina, your sugars are better controlled, you get a better control of your blood pressure. So all in all, exercise is a win-win situation. And they did a study recently. Now this came in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, and it was a recent paper, 2021, as you can see here. 48,000 adults were studied, and what was the outcome? They found that physical inactivity is associated with a higher risk of severe COVID-19 outcomes. Now this is a very important study, because people, those who are sedentary, they found that they were actually dying more, they were having more complications in them. In fact, this was one reason why this disease was not having enough toll in the villages as compared to the urban population, because we have more sedentary people in the urban population. So with that background, this is, and there is another news which came recently in some of the national dailies, that COVID-19 patients with sedentary habits, they are more likely to die. And there are some bonus benefits also of the exercise. If you see, people, those who are exercising regularly, they reduce their mortality, they reduce their heart risk, they reduce their diabetes and cancer risk also. And not only physical benefits, but also
I think we lost Dr. Amar for a moment. I think he'll come back. Let's wait a half a minute or so. And fatigue. Well, last week I explained how shortness of breath comes. We all know primarily COVID 19 affects our lungs. As Dr. Amar mentioned, there's inflammation there. It could turn into a pneumonia. There could be fluid retention. And in any case, fighting a regular flu also leaves us with sometimes a shortness of breath or fatigue. And here the inflammation, because it's a new kind of virus that the body is fighting, that the inflammation can be very pronounced. Secondly, this can affect our muscles. It primarily also affects the lungs, but remember, the lungs and the heart work in tandem, so the heart could be weak. And one thing to keep in mind as we go into our practice session now is, if you're somebody who is recovering from COVID, please take your exercises gently. You will start, perhaps you'll have a shortness of breath, you may feel tired. Sit down, learn the energization exercises of Yogananda, and you may not have to do all the 13-15 minute sequence. You could do half a minute, you could do it lying down, and slowly, because those exercises involve low, medium, high, vibrating tension, high, medium, low, and complete relaxation. You can slowly, based on the myalgia, the muscle pain you may have, or the shortness of breath you may have, or the fatigue, or the lightheadedness, you will see that each person will recover at a different pace. One final word, that this COVID 19 situation, primarily because it's so new, there's such fear on one level and apprehension that it also affects our mind. So do not wait for the time where you feel energetic. Try to take a step now, and you will see that slowly, whether it is walking, climbing a small fleet of stairs, you will start getting better. Of course, at any time, if you have confusion, you can get in touch with Dr. Amar, who is an expert in handling this. The COVID situation for the last 1 year, he has been seeing patients in the ICU, in the outpatient department, and we have a host of other doctors who can help. But if you're in doubt, consult with your doctor and start slowly. So with that, I'll request us all for the next now about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, to do a little practice session. And there's another research that was shared with me by a friend just yesterday, which is totally in line with what Dr. Amar was sharing, that brisk walking, when compared to, just you might say idle or slow walking, had a 4 times higher rate of helping us avoid getting COVID 19. And it's amazing how medical science is discovering that perhaps much of the prevention and recovery, might be lying in our lifestyle measures. So we'll do some walking in place just now. We'll do just a few exercises, and primarily we will focus on pranayam to regain and overcome fatigue and our shortness of breath. So please join me, friends. I'll be standing on one side, and join me in doing these exercises. Am I spotlighted? Yeah, because not on my screen. Okay, friends. So let's begin with a simple. Oh, I see it. I see it. It's okay. Yeah, thank you. Let's walk in place with a smile on our face. Swing your arms. Take a few deep breaths through the nose. Breathe out from the mouth. Also, make sure that you're breathing diaphragmatically, which is, we will practice that. But if you know diaphragmatic breathing, it means when you inhale, your belly should move out. When you exhale, the belly should come back in. Just half a minute more. And I just want to demonstrate running in place. because many of us are in lockdown, but you could do this at home just for a minute or two, and you will see it's quite effective as an exercise modality. You can kick the buttocks with the heels, that will add a challenge to your running, or you could also bring the thighs high above. Okay. Now, just let's catch our breath for a few moments. Feel the flow of blood in the body, the flow of energy. Keep your spine straight. Feel the activity in the lung and heart area. Feel that vitality in the lungs. And now let's start moving into the pranayams. The first one is full yogic breath, dirgha pranayam. Very simple, and when done with awareness, it is beneficial, how can I say, in just 10 to 12 repetitions. Let me show the first one a bit fast, but I will request each person to then do it at their own pace. Anybody who has had recent eye surgery, who is pregnant right now, or has uncontrolled hypertension or back injury should not do this. But if your spine is flexible, you can, because it involves inhaling as you take the hands up, and as you exhale through the mouth, go far down. Again, inhale as you come up and exhale as you go down. And now let's do it at our own pace. I'll guide a first few, then I'll let you do it at your own pace. Let's inhale, look up and smile, breathe out from the mouth. Slowly, as you exhale, 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 go down. Inhale. As you inhale, come up. As you exhale, go down. Exhale completely. The next time you inhale, try to fill the lungs, lower, middle, and upper part completely. Exhale the carbon dioxide built up in the body. This time, try to inhale joy, hope, strength, courage, vitality, all the way to your fingertips. This is an aspect of positive psychology. Breathe out any fatigue, tiredness, sense of hopelessness, anxiety. Inhale once again any quality you're aspiring. Enhance it in yourself with the incoming breath. And now please do 5 rounds at your own pace, friends. This is a pranayam, it's a controlled breath which leads to us learning how to control the energy in our body. Which is to say, we can increase the flow of that energy and distribute it throughout the body and feel more energetic instantly. One last inhalation, and bring the hands to the side. Close your eyes for a brief moment. Feel the great vitality in the hands, heart, lungs, spine, brain, especially the point between the two eyebrows. Now please come to a sitting position. I would like us now to keep a hand on the abdomen, on the belly area, and one on the chest. Close your eyes and breathe naturally. This is not controlled breathing. And observe which of your two hands is moving more. Let's take 10 to 15 seconds for this. Please gently open your eyes. Ideally, the hand on the belly, the abdomen should be moving more. And that is a sign that you're breathing in the proper way, which is called diaphragmatic breathing. When we are in deep sleep, a good example is when somebody is snoring, or when you see a newborn baby, an infant on the bed breathing, you see it's their belly which is moving, pretty much only the belly, which is why this way of breathing is found effortless almost. The diaphragm divides our lungs from the abdominal organs, and it's now diaphragm is the primary muscle of breathing. But what happens is as we grow, as we start facing stresses in life, often this response of stress induces in us a very shallow and a way of breathing which involves only the upper part of the chest. There's tension over here. Sometimes we may want to look slim over here, and there could be other factors. And we simply forget because the body is very adaptable, and sometimes it can adapt to very wrong habits. But in these times, we could all relearn this very simple practice. Now, if you're wondering how much of a difference this would make, in 2010, there was a study in Chicago where they were studying people who have insomnia, hypertension, and stress in general. They said they were very stressed. There was a 40% reduction in their symptoms just by introducing the proper way of breathing, which is diaphragmatic breathing. Now, how do you practice this? After this session is over, before you take your meals, lie down on the carpet or lie down on the bed. Keep your hand on the belly. And again, if you're finding it hard to expand and learn how to push the abdomen out in the beginning, you may have to as you inhale. And as you exhale, bring it back in. You will see that the muscle memory will take over. The diaphragm muscle has both voluntary and involuntary muscles. It's a very unique muscle, which means that involuntary means it can go on as it feels like. They take over the autonomic process of breathing. Voluntary means you can control it also. So in the beginning, you may have to relearn, and then it will become a natural habit in daytime and in sleep. And it's an energy conserving mechanism. And it's simply how we can breathe more deeply without filling our lungs, which is very strenuous, as you can see, because there are all the intercostal muscles and all. So I hope you will try this and teach this to others. Simple diaphragmatic breathing. Now, let's get into some other pranayams. Sitting up straight. You can close your eyes for this one, or if you do not know the double breath, you can keep your eyes open and watch me as I do this very simple pranayam taught by Yogananda. This increases our oxygenation, inhalation by 2 times, and also increases the decarbonization or the process of exhalation by 2 times. And we take a short and long inhalation through the nose and a short and long exhalation through the mouth. It's like this. Let's do this together a few times. Try to do this diaphragmatically. And now let's focus on the lung capacity as we do this. Feel the actual movement as much as you can, the effect of this breath on the lungs and the chest. One more time. It's okay to expand the lungs as much as you can in this one, along with the abdomen. Now, in the next 3 repetitions, I want you to feel the rib cage and the chest moving sideways, front, back, up, and down. It expands in actually all directions. And let's try to feel inside the rib cage. You can feel the lungs also a little bit move, even though that sensation is poor because those are inside the body. But let's try to feel the expansion outside and then inside. Feel the recoil, feel the expansion now. Be in control, breathe out. This is an excellent exercise if you do this in the morning air, in the sun, after brushing your skin above the chest, gently stretching it sideways before you do this, twisting a little bit. So you actually can, you're doing this like you expand a balloon as much as you want. We can work on our lungs as much as we would like, and slowly slowly, as a preventive tool, as a recovery tool from COVID, we can enhance our ability to breathe. I remember yesterday Dr. Amar's wife was telling me how a patient from rural Bengal called her. He was losing his breathing capacity, the will, he was getting tired, and she told him, sit up straight, put the oxygen mask, do not fall asleep, and keep breathing deeply, and keep me posted. The man lived through the night and came out of the illness. And sometimes we have to apply our will to bring the body under the control how we would like it to breathe and conduct itself. Now, friends, let's go into the next pranayama. For this one, you can close your eyes. It's a simple practice called even count breathing. We will inhale through the nose, hold our breath, and again exhale through the nose. And be sure that you're not in a strain when you're doing this practice. Do as much as you can. I'll just guide one round, keeping inhalation, holding, and exhalation equal, but then you choose any number which is convenient for your breath capacity. So let's inhale for 3 counts. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold the breath, 1, 2, 3. Breathe out through the nose, 2, 3. Let's do now 3 rounds at our own pace. Try to breathe diaphragmatically, expanding the belly as you inhale. Hold the breath. The belly should now come inside as you breathe out through the nose. 3 more rounds at your own pace now. Let us now move into the next phase of what is commonly called box breathing, which is inhale, hold, exhale, and again hold for the same count. I'll guide one round over here. Let's inhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold, 1, 2, 3. Exhale through the nose, 2, 3, and hold, 1, 2, 3. Please do 3 rounds at your own pace now. Let the air now come in and out through the nose naturally, letting go of any control on the breath. And we will do a visualization for breathing that Yogananda ji taught. He said, as the cool air enters your nose and the lungs, feel that in the lungs it is converting itself into energy and light. And your lungs are filled with energy, vitality, and light. And then you gradually breathe out. This is a natural breath. So, with the next incoming breath, feel that you're inhaling light and energy, filling, healing your lungs, and breathe out. Breathe in light and energy in the lower part of your lungs, the back part of the lungs, and breathe out. Light and energy filling the middle and upper part of the lungs. Breathe out. Let's do this for half a minute, relaxingly. Let's now inhale through the nose and breathe out thrice from the mouth. And gently open your eyes. So, friends, we invite your questions on the Facebook page or on this chat section. Dr. Amar and I will compile them. We will address them. If there are too many, stay in tune with these two channels, Ananda Sangha India, especially Facebook page, and our daily offerings through Zoom. Our India page, anandaindia.org, that's the website, has a COVID helpline. And there are many COVID offerings being brought. Also, Lata Gupta of from Ananda Yoga, she is sharing many wonderful classes on pranayams, and today I shared the basic ones. But these also, if you do them in more repetitions, again, if you're focusing on prevention, are you trying to heal yourself from already a COVID infection? That will depend how much you should practice. Start small and go as per your capacity. But then if you feel like adding more pranayams, advanced pranayams, those are available also on our Facebook page through one of our teachers, Miss Lata Gupta. And Dr. Amar and I will see you again. The next session we will do will be entirely focusing on the spectrum of post COVID management, its mental, emotional sides, and many other physical challenges that we might face. But I hope you can go back to these basic doable practices. Take a routine, walking in place, little bit running in place, the energization exercises, the pranayams, the full yogic breath, the double breath, the even count breathing, the box breathing, and normal diaphragmatic breathing, observing the breath, just like Swami Vivekananda once said when somebody said, what do people in your country do? And he tried to define the yogi, a practitioner of yoga, this way. He said, there are some people in my country whose only job in life is to measure the amount of air entering and leaving their nostrils. As much time as you can give to understanding your body, the breath, the more you will see your awareness will increase. And with awareness, our ability to take charge on the circumstance increases. We can work for the good, we can apply ourselves in the positive direction. Dr. Amar's advice of being in the sun, exercising some every day, fasting, getting adequate sleep, choosing the color of your food and diet, those are very, very important things. Again, who knows, we might be in this pandemic situation for months, maybe a year, 2 years, we don't know. There have been easily proven to be four waves of such a flu, such a pandemic. Let's pray it doesn't happen. But if this is going to continue, we could take charge of our life and change, adopt a new lifestyle today, And in a month, you will be a very different person. And what to speak, if the pandemic continues, our chances of being healthy, sharing health with others would be dramatically improved in the weeks, months, and year or so to come. So I hope you found this beneficial. Write down your queries and questions and suggestions, and we will act on them in our coming classes. Thank you, Dr. Amar. Thank you, friends who were supporting this class, and we will see you again next week. God bless you.